the moon. Well, we've made it there. What next? That's what we're going to talk about today. Even as we continue with this inspiring journey of ours to the moon's surface, Chandrayaan's Day-1 on the moon. What's that going to be like? Even as the Pragyan rover unfurls its wheels on the lunar canvas. Now picture this, ladies and gentlemen. The moon, now clearly within India's orbit, becomes the stage for Pragyan's mission over the next fortnight. A momentous step as Pragyan starts its in-situ chemical analysis of the lunar surface, venturing near the South Pole. But that's not all. Pragyan is equipped with two packages, two groundbreaking experiments: the Laser Induced Breakdown Spectroscope, also called LIBS, and the Alpha Particle X-ray Spectrometer, the APXS. These payloads are set to revolutionize our understanding of the moon's composition, mineralogy, and much more. So, well, buckle up as we embark on this journey to uncover the hidden lunar secrets, from Pragyan's critical role in lunar exploration to the intricate details of its scientific instruments. It's going to be an educational one, an educational adventure rather, that will leave you certainly starstruck. Let's understand what Chandrayaan will focus on its first moon day out, where Pragyan takes center stage in our quest to unravel the mysteries of the moon. Stay with us, get down in the comment sections like always, and really become part of this captivating journey. We've got two experts with us on the show. I'm going to quickly introduce them to you and we can get the ball rolling. Sujay Sridhar, CEO, GenX Space and Space Educator. A very warm welcome and nice to have you back with us. And Group Captain V.N. Jha, Aerospace Scientist and Joint Director for the DRDO. A very good morning to both of you. Group Captain Jha, has it sunk in now? I know it was a busy day for you, but has it finally sunk in now? We are on the moon, sir.
Absolutely, we are on the moon. Our thought process are trying to align with the lunar activities, lunar days, and the lunar orientation. So I compliment the entire nation on behalf of ISRO, because they are the lead team to take us there to the moon. And today, entire 1.4 billion people of India must be feeling they are on the moon. I hope that much of the space is there to incorporate the entire Indian nation onto the moon. But mentally, spiritually, we are already there, Kabir.
Absolutely, sir. And Sujay, what's your point of view? How was the night like? I mean, I'm sure that celebrations and the congratulatory messages just wouldn't stop. We've got some tweets ourselves. I'm going to ask the control room to play those out. International appreciation has been so much, from Vladimir Putin to people from NASA, the European Space Agency. Everybody has stepped in. All our friends at the BRICS summit. The appreciation is real and it is international.
Yes, definitely. So as we were mentioning yesterday, okay.
Well, Sujay, do go on. What happened?
Yes. So I'm so sorry. Yes. Yes. As we were mentioning yesterday, the whole world was looking at us, looking how ISRO will do and will it land this time. So we all been holding our breath during the last descent phase. We had a small program here where we had gathered a lot of students and general public who was very enthusiastic and waiting for the lander to land. And you could see that excitement and that tension in their faces as well, even though they are not the scientists who work directly, but they're all there to support. Now, apart from that, the news and Twitter feeds are like blowing up. Everyone is talking only about Chandrayaan and it landing on the moon, and everyone was focusing on India because of the failed attempt of Russia, and it is first time someone is trying or someone have landed on the south pole of moon. So it is a big moment for us, exciting one. Even we were waiting for the news or the confirmation from ISRO that the rover have rolled on the surface of the moon. We were up until I think until 2 o'clock in the morning, waiting to get a news whether the rover have come out or not. So that is how the excitement was here.
Absolutely. Now, Group Captain, we've got the latest reaction coming in from the former ISRO chairman, K7. But before we play that out, fresh visuals have now come out. Many of them are not really corroborated, so I'm not going to play out all of them for the viewers. But this first image of the Pragyan rover, unveiling its wheels on the lunar canvas. I mean, what a groundbreaking picture. Before this, we also saw one of the legs of the Vikram lander. That was also so groundbreaking. I'm sure for days to come, that picture is going to be, kept safely in various history books and, space books. But Pragyan rover, now day number 1, what's going to happen? Pragyan rover is finally out. You were the first one to tell us that there is radioactivity and on the lunar surface there's a lot of hot gases and the dust that might create some sort of hindrance. But Pragyan rover is out. And yesterday a lot of memes were also doing the rounds on social media with aggressive comments. People saying that let me out, bhai darwaza kholo, bhai bahar nikalo. Finally the Pragyan rover, it is finally out, isn't it?
Yes, at about 11 o'clock, 11:30, I was again tasked to come on some of the channels because first photograph.
A warrior shift, if I may. Some of us anchors did anchor for, good 7-8 hours yesterday, yeah. But I'm sure, sir, you put in a warrior shift.
So I was woken up and I was called, "Okay, sir, kindly come here and have a look what is happening." And what I saw was really mesmerizing, of the ISRO's emblem being, put onto the lunar dust, what we call regolith. So it was watershed moment. It is the glorious moment we can think of. And it is what you mentioned about some of the nations having praised. It is really a praiseworthy feat of India, ISRO, the world over, because this particular feat gives sort of confidence to the entire world that if properly designed, if properly implemented their thought process into the design, they can make a landing on the South Pole or the North Pole. South Pole is already now conquered by India, so someone now may think of going on to the North Pole.
I like the word conquered that you've used, Group Captain. I really like the word conquered. But yes, of course, sorry for digressing.
So, see, it is only the beginning. Someone has opened the window, and that has been ISRO, which has opened the window of science community of the world. From this window, now we start looking at the South Pole. South Pole has not been looked into till now. You mentioned it is the beginning of the day, and the entire research project of ISRO, whether it is with the rover or it is with the lander, is designed right now for one single day of moon. That is about 14 days of Earth,
right.
Out of which one day has already gone in the landing process, and one day in the last. That would be the evening, that would be the sunset in the area, and also will be non-productive. So remaining 12 days are the period when the entire day and night, 24/7 from the Earth perspective point of view, but on the lunar surface, the sun is bright, and all the experiments and everything will be carried out by these few equipment, and that will be on. Actually, the actual scientific study will be over in about 7 days. It is only in case if ISRO wants some additional data, they will continue exploring those data, gathering those data over the period of.
What must the rover be doing right now? What must the rover be doing right now, Group Captain? I mean, for people where we only have these visuals, and Sujay, feel free to step into this. But Group Captain, what must be the rover doing right now? Is it out there? There is an umbilical cord also on the rover. It can't go beyond a certain distance. Abhi kya chal raha hoga wahan pe?
Rover was out last night. That's what I mentioned to you. I was woken up to have a look. The rover has come out. Rover has got only two particular role: to analyze the soil, regolith in that area. Remember, this area is least impacted by whether it is meteorites, asteroids, comets, or celestial body. Most of those impacts have happened in and around the equator. So this area is likely to be the original lunar surface, lunar mass, what we know of. So when we analyze this, the dust in this area, it is likely to be the original dust, but we can't rule out that there could be, some comets would have fallen in this area, some asteroids or something, dust will be there also. But then when the analysis of those soil, of those regolith continues over the period, we will come to know about the composition of that soil,
Right.
whether it is calcium carbonate or magnesium sulfate or something else. So chemical composition will be known by the alpha particle analyzer, and the spectroscope will let our eyes scope into the deep into the surface
All
of the
right.
moon's rock. That will tell us what are the elemental composition of the moon's rock. There only, yesterday I was sitting with the ex-chairman of ISRO in a meeting. I was suggesting, if ISRO wants to detect that 109th or 110th element of the periodic table, it is quite possible that we will find it there. But for that purpose, it has to keep the open loop of that laser spectroscope, which will send us the data, which subsequently will need a lot of analysis to come to a conclusion that yes, this is the 109th element of the periodic table, which may not be on the Earth, but it is there on the lunar surface.
I'm
So
more intrigued on
those are
these kind of findings. You know what, Group Captain, this is going to be so mind-boggling, and the discoveries that are quite possibly on the cards. They're going to change it's going to be a complete paradigm shift in the scientific world. But let's quickly tell the viewers also in layman knowledge, and for that I am there. We've got space educators and scientists on the panel, but to tell you guys about what's really happening, I have learned that information in a simplified format, so I'll put it out there for you. Now, payloads on the Pragyan rover. There are essentially two payloads, and Group Captain and Sujay, please do come in, and if you think I've uttered something wrong here, do come in. Now, it has two payloads. The first one is the APXS. It's called the Particle X-ray Spectrometer. It will derive chemical composition and infer mineralogical composition and will enhance enhance our understanding of the lunar surface. Like Group Captain was telling us, it's going to look beyond what the eye can see. Then you have the LIBS, which is also called the Laser Induced Breakdown Spectroscope, will determine the elemental composition of the lunar soil. So magnesium, iron, all these elements that we already know of, there could be a possible addition to what we know already of back here on Earth. So it's going to take a look at the soil and rocks around it, essentially, right? And just to tell you that the Pragyan rover has, in terms of its specifications, the mission life is 1 lunar day. What Group Captain Jha was also telling us, that essentially just 12 days on Earth. 12 Earth days is our potential mission life. The mass is about 26 kilograms. Takes about 50 watt of power to use. It has two payloads, LIBS and APXS, that we spoke about, and the dimensions, it's quite small. We have pictures running all around us, but the communication aspect, it can communicate with the lander. Group Captain, I'm going to come to you. Just want to probe, even as the Pragyan rover is going to probe the lunar soil, I want to probe what's going on with Sujay. Sujay, APXS and LIBS, would you like to elaborate a little further on what Group Captain Jha, where he left us?
Okay, so to make it very simplified, so a spectrometer or a spectroscope is a device which can detect what components or what kind of composition a material has. So imagine it like this: you must have seen the crackers in the Diwali days or in the
right.
You would have seen crackers. We would have not paid that much attention, but you would see different colors of light which will come out of the crackers. Now, the reason why those specific colors come out is because of the composition of the materials. Each of the atoms which we have its own characteristics on color. So a spectroscope will detect those colors, and based on that, you can determine what is the composition of certain materials. So that is what, in term, both the dividing both the subsystems or both the payloads are trying to do. One is looking at the surface, one is looking beyond the surface, in a very simplified terms.
All right. Thanks for the simplistic, absolutely. Group Captain, do come in. What the additions that you wanted to make, and whilst you're making those additions, do also tell us that with whatever experimentation the Pragyan rover will now carry out, how does that pave the way further, the road ahead for future experimentation on the South Pole as well? But do continue with what you wanted to add on, echoing to what Sujay was talking about.
Two things. What you mentioned, the potential life of one lunar day. There, I just wanted to correct you. Potential is there for many lunar day, but it is planned. The proposed life of one day, that is ISRO planned. But all of us, we are convinced that when the sunset happens, at the time of sunset, all the systems will go to sleep mode, like our laptop or something.
Right.
When the power is, it goes to the sleep mode, and when the next sunrise happens, when the sunlight again starts falling onto the solar panels, then again the energization of the entire system will happen, and another day of experiment of those 14 days, 14 Earth day or one lunar day is possible. Such many cycles are possible. It has the potential to carry out that. But right now, ISRO has planned, proposed that, one lunar day is going to carry out all these types of experiments that is already in the plans. But
that's
what
going to be
I
a great bonus.
You,
that's going to be a great bonus.
What I mentioned to you, that in the spectroscope, laser spectroscope, what sends the signal impulse, laser impulse deep into the surface, many meters can go there. In case if ISRO wants to look for those unknown elements, right now it has fed algorithm for the known element. The known element in the equator region are there is oxygen molecules, they are the silicon, they are magnesium, iron, calcium, aluminum, chromium, titanium. These are already known in the equator region. And mind you, those must be contaminated with the impacts of those meteorites, asteroids, comet, celestial body which has come from outside the lunar mass. So those could be contaminated. But what is the actual of the original lunar mass is the one which will be here. Right now, ISRO must have fed that algorithm that should it be magnesium, this is the type of configuration that the laser spectroscope is going to find it there. But suppose they open the loop of those algorithms, then there will be additional data which is unknown, which is beyond those known objects. Those data will start coming up there in the coming period, which right now we also don't know how an unknown maybe molecule, unknown element will look out. So that is one area the open algorithm will tell us.
Wow.
As far as alpha particle is concerned, it is something like a salt test. All of us science students, we have carried out the salt test in our labs.
Right.
So we take the salt, put it under the flame onto the platinum filament, and then see the color of it, and then we analyze what is that salt. It is something similar, not exactly the same, something similar, that alpha particle is going to bombard those soil, those regolith, and then there is a further type of arena or the halo going to be created around that soil, which this spectrometer that will analyze that this is so and so composition, whether it is calcium sulfate, calcium carbonate, calcium chromate, or whatever it is there. So that is it going to tell. So these are the two which are going to tell you about the composition of in and around the rover that it is there.
And the rover's distance is essentially just 500 meters around the lander, right?
That's quite a lot. It is about 500 meters. It is corded also. This is one good thing that ISRO has done. They might not have been sure that what all are in and around the lander. Suppose if the rover goes somewhere and it falls into the shadowed area, then what happens? Then the solar panel will not have the energy type of energy. So it has given a cord line,
An
it is
umbilical
lunar
cord,
tether
yes.
line, umbilical cord for two reasons. One, that electricity supply, which is in plenty in the lander, and very less, about 50 watt of the power generation in the rover, and that may fall with the slant sunlight which is falling onto it because of being in the polar region. So energy generation may be less, electricity generation may be less. So in that case, power goes from the lander, and the data supply from the lander, I mean from the rover to the lander, is ensured by that tether line. So this is very good thing that they have done, that even
Absolutely,
if
absolutely, Group
the
Captain.
light.
This visual that we're also seeing, you were pointing out that there are various dark areas, but the topography in general, it's not easy for any rover to probe this particular ground. And talking about probing via various ground probing modules, China very recently it collected the rock samples as well. So we'll come back as to what are the capacities and capabilities in terms of the Pragyan rover reflecting India's prowess on the moon. But before that, K. the former ISRO chief, his reaction, his latest reaction, and of course my heart really goes out to him, because he was sitting there, he saw the success of Chandrayaan 3. S. Somnath categorically said that the entire Chandrayaan 2, Chandrayaan 3 team is also behind it. But of course, I mean, had it gone in under K. tenure, that would also have been a great badge for him to wear. So I could sense that little bit of grief on his face, but nevertheless he's always come out and he's heaped praises on the ISRO scientists. Let's take a look at what the gentleman had to say.
We are really excited to see the grand success, and for this success we have been waiting for last 4 years. And this success is a sweet news for us, and not only for us, but for the entire nation. The nation is waiting for this moment, and now it has happened successfully. I'm extremely happy that it's happened successfully, and I would say that congratulations to the whole Indian people for the wonderful success of this Chandrayaan 3 mission. Because this Chandrayaan 3, that science data, it is not only for India, it is for the global scientists. So this data that the scientists will be using globally, and they will discover some new things from this data. That way it is interest for the entire global interest is there.
Well, so that's the reaction coming across from the former ISRO chief. Now, Sujay, the group captain was telling us that what if the rover, travels into an area where there is absolutely no sunlight? But what if the rover falls upside down? The rover falls upside down. Does it have a mechanism that can, bring it back on its wheels, or does the umbilical cord here help again? What does happen there? Because even in the pulling act, the tether cable can then damage the rover now, can it not? I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here.
So the chances of the rover tumbling upside down are very slim. I don't think they have any specific systems in place in case if it tumbles upside down. But you need to remember the rover is traveling like a centimeter per second. So I don't think it is going fast enough, to tumble upside down. Apart from that, all the path which the rover is going to take is predetermined. It will be analyzed upfront to decide, okay, is it a safe path to go forward? So they will determine first if it is safe to travel, and then only they will continue the travel. So I don't think, for the rover going upside down is the biggest challenge you have. Now, as he was mentioning earlier, so the entire mission is for 14 days, but it's always been the case with ISRO that they will plan for a certain number of days, being very conservative, but they always have a potential to extend the mission. But in those cases also, whatever steps they're going to take forward, like each rotation of the wheel is pre-calculated, predetermined to make sure the safe operations of the rover, and to also extract more science out of the given days what we have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do I have
And the communication with the lander is concerned, it is happening through a wireless, so it will be communicated to the lander, and the lander will in turn send the data back to us in the ground through our ground station networks. That is how the communication would work, all in all.
Chandrayaan 2 as well. Chandrayaan 2 as well. I mean, that toppled body of the lander is still communicating with us. So we have, a great network of Indian communication on the moon. But do I have a weird conundrum here, a weird query here, Group Captain, when I say that the rover can also like topple off on its head? Can that not happen at all on the moon's surface?
Very right, Kabir. It is very good thought that you have given, but that is what ISRO has put into the design. You must have heard that, okay, some vehicle at some odd places it may topple down, but what happens to the tank? Tank has got a chain system, so that in case if it falls, if one side falls into a ditch, it doesn't topple ever. So that particular design has gone to the rover. It is not single wheel. It is the series of wheels which are rotating in the unison, so that even if the ditch comes up there, it is kept up. It is kept upright. It doesn't topple over. So that particular design it has taken, because we know there are the ditches, there are the dips and ridges over the surface, as you can see. Now, actually, in fact, before us. So those are the possibilities. But frankly, a rover doesn't have to venture very far away, because what surface is there will be by and large the same surface everywhere in and around, and it is not designed.
Can you see the picture that we're
theater.
displaying, Group Captain? Are you able to see the picture? This is the picture that's going viral on the internet. But you can't see that chain system that you're talking about. You can see the three wheels, but you can't see the chain system necessarily over there. If you can, help the viewers understand, because of course there are so many videos that are doing the rounds. I want to be making sure that I only run corroborated material on my show. No need to spread misinformation or disinformation here.
Go back to the ISRO's website. ISRO website has got the complete design of the rover, and you will see those chain of wheels. So that is how it is planned to be there. So what here itself you can see the long thing. It is the series of the wheels which is there. So it is not a single wheel.
It's a three. It's a three wheel on one side, three on the other side. It's a 6-wheel design.
Absolutely. So that is how it is there. And so what came to your mind has already gone through this. This is what I was pointing out yesterday. So whatever we had thought of, to me it seems that after the partial failure of Chandrayaan 2, ISRO's project team has called for a brainstorming session of everyone to get all sort of even weirdest of the ideas that may be relevant into the project. And usually it happens. So when we have a project into which our information, our knowledge is not complete, for the moon, our knowledge can never be complete. I remember my 2007 period in the DRDO. I was given a project of onboard generation of oxygen for the LCA aircraft. And as on those days, the OBOX system, that onboard oxygen generation, there was no information in India, and the one system that we had developed was absolutely falling far short than the requirement. So I was given the task to develop a new OBOX which can meet the specific LCA requirement. And I had no, my background is MBBS. But then I had done a lot of R&D in the aerospace. I have done the flying part also as a supernumerary aircrew. So I had varied background on that. Then I called for this meeting of the brainstorming session of all possible people who can give us some sort of thought process. And that is where we gather all this information and collate it all together. And then try to
basically no idea can be neglected, no idea can be termed as quote unquote, I'm sorry for the profanity, but as stupid or something that is naive. Everything has to be taken into account.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, with such ideas, I think the ISRO has gone. Yesterday, I had pointed out to you that they have taken all these ideas of the brainstorming session and put it into their design. Yesterday when it was coming for the landing, I was so glad that they had given that extra kilogram of the fuel system, which can maneuver itself. It was tracking in and around. It was
Right.
moving in and around very surface, and that extra kg of the fuel has given this particular project a complete success. That is what it is there,
Something
and
as little as
also.
extra fuel, and you'll see from the picture, Sujay. Also, you also take a look at the picture. The first picture that comes out shows the smoothness of the area where the lander has finally, made the soft landing. It showcases that the AI system and the logic that was baked into it worked absolutely fine, isn't it, Sujay?
Yes, definitely. So the system was designed from the previous mistakes which we have made, and also it was supposed to do a hover maneuver to determine the best possible place to land, as well as for the rover to function it properly. Now, just to add into a point what Sir was mentioning, so the wheel system is like you call it a rocker bogie wheel, where you have three sets of wheel which can move independently. And so what it does is it will help you traverse all these bumps and rocks and all those things which you have on the surface in an easier fashion. That's how each of the wheel have its own independent motion and independent propulsion, where it will be able to navigate through this treacherous, you can think of it like an off-road vehicle which is going very slow. So that is how it is being designed. And when you are designing, you will take into all these things into consideration, as he was mentioning, all the possibilities. What if the important question is, what if it goes upside down? What if it doesn't land in the right way? What if it doesn't communicate? So all these what ifs have been taken into consideration, and that is how you will design a system which can redundantly work on all kind of terrains and all kind of conditions you can imagine.
Right. I'm fanboying over, space research so much over the last 2 months. I'll tell you what. And Sujay, you've got a photo frame behind you. I'm intrigued. I'm sorry for digressing here. I'm intrigued. Is that a spaceman in the painting? What's that painting actually all about?
Yeah, so it is actually gifted by one of our friend. So it actually I could show you around, but it's actually a huge painting. You can actually see.
Wow.
It's like it's to show what is happening around the world and the space. Like, so it is supposed to be your Andheri market in India to all the way to space, like different conditions or different
Wow,
lives.
that's actually a beautiful,
people.
beautiful painting. Must tell you, I'm going to get in touch with you to get a copy of that as well.
Please.
But coming back to you, Group Captain, in Group Captain's home, instead of paintings, there are just laurels, accolades, and trophies, just to name a few. He was already telling you how he's part of the DRDO. He's flown airplanes. He's been in the Indian Air Force himself. So essentially, many feathers in this man's cap as well. But sir, we're running out of time. I know it's too soon, and like I said, I'm fanboying over the entire process. Pragyan rover is finally out. Various, Indian space research fan pages have put out that picture of the rover's marks, the marks that the rover will leave. Of course, I'm not going to, show those out because they're not corroborated yet. Also, with such high definition, I don't know who is this person who's clicking these pictures on the moon for ISRO. But sir, just wanted to know, how does the rover Pragyan now pave the way for future experiments, and what does this mean? The larger message that we wanted to send to the world, that hey, we wanted to soft land, and we have soft landed. But what next? What does this rover, what kind of message will this rover send to Roscosmos, to NASA? Word coming in from NASA as well. Everybody is, heaping praises. But I'm sure they will also be wanting to understand what kind of technology we've taken up there, at what budget, at what cost. As Somnath said, I'm not going to tell you my cost-effective measures. You'll also copy them. But what next for this rover? Rover kaun se aur darwaze kholne wala hai hamare liye, sir?
I told you in the beginning itself, this has opened a window. door is yet to open. It is only the beginning of the things are happening. This time the rover has got only with the got out only with the two sets of this thing. You take it for sure that there will be Chandrayaan 4 mission also, in which the so-called rover or the lander will have additional sets of the sensors or the mini lab onto it, which will be carrying out all the tests. And you can also assume that there will be a time when there will be a thought process of bringing back some of those materials also, like what Chinese Changi have done
Right.
there earlier. But these besides, I had written a book called Design Aspects of Human Space Mission. This was the first book from any Indian to have been written on the space activities of the human mission. And when I had written there, I was falling short of lot of information that I wanted. It was not available when I had made the specifications of the EC and LSS system, that is the environmental control and life support systems in the human module, crew module. I was falling short of many of the informations. But then when I had written this book, first edition, there were some informations, and I'm sure with the type of knowledge that I am gathering over a period, of course, lunar surface is another venture that Project Artemis has already planned it there. Uh, India has already signed the MOU with USA. So men will go to the lunar surface, and how all these human activity over there will subsequently develop or try to develop itself into a colony is a subject of my interest. And in that book of mine, design aspects of the human space mission, is the one which will have additional, sort of input into it. So I'm looking forward, myself, I'm looking forward to many of the informations come from this particular project, or maybe in the subsequent days, Chandrayaan 4 will also go. There will be other nations also encouraged from hereafter that yes, they
Right.
can land in such a place also. So it's a great achievement of ISRO of India to have taken this particular venture. Compliments.
Absolutely, sir. And you know what, Sujay? This is what people are putting out there as headlines, saying that now that Moon is in India's orbit, the focus is shifting towards Pragyan. But why not focus on lander Vikram? I mean, why are we letting lander Vikram be all alone? The lander Vikram itself, the payload has so many packages on board. I mean, are we doing some sort of injustice to lander Vikram? That's Vikram by the end of it, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. As you rightly said, we have three different experiments on the lander itself. I think it stems from the fact that rover may sound more fancier to common public and to everyone. In fact, to have a robotic probe go around and do experiments rather than you being in one place and doing the experiments. I think that is one of the important thing why everyone seems to be more excited. Otherwise, of course, lander have its own set of experiments. One of the important thing is to study about the seismic activities of the moon, which will actually let us understand how the moon was formed and what is the composition of. When I say composition, to understand what are the different layers of moon, how they are reacting, if there is anything similar to, is it anything similar to Earth, or how the moon kits are, progressing. All those things can be studied with the lander itself. I think yes, in one way we are doing.
I'll just add a bit.
Absolutely, Group Captain. I'll come to you. Sujay, please finish your thoughts.
Yes. So of course, it has its own rights, or you can think of it like it has its own importance. But I think rover seems to be a bit more complex things to do as well. So we had to give importance equally for both. That is what I think.
Absolutely. This marginalization of the Vikram lander is not going to, I mean, I'm not buying this, especially on the first day of Chandrayaan out there. Group Captain, you wanted to add on? And sir, we always come back to you for another, because I know with the kind of knowledge that you have in your head, you of course have something to add on to everything. Do go on, sir.
I just wanted to, don't underestimate the role of lander. It has got two very important instruments. One is the Langmuir probe, which will be tracking those flashing around molecules in and around, that we will know what is happening in the South Pole region. And very importantly, this chased equipment, which is going to give us the thermal mapping in the southern polar region, that is never had. I mean, the world doesn't have it. So India is going to have that thermal mapping of the South Polar region in and around 70° south for the first time. Don't underestimate. That is going to give us a hell lot of things. Remember, in the lunar daytime, maybe around the peak of the day, in the equator area, temperature goes to about 120 odd plus. In the South Pole, what is the temperature? Who can guess? No one can guess. It could be 60°, it could be 70°, it could be 45°, where human can inhabit there. All these are the research subjects. That information is going to come from this particular chest equipment, Chandra's surface thermophysical equipment, that will give us a complete mapping in and around the South Pole, that the orientation is there. That's a great thing. And also, the last thing, the laser reflector array that has been added by the NASA equipment, that right now we are guessing the moon is drifting away from us at a rate of about 1 inch per year. This laser reflectometer is going to give us a precision that whether it is moving out or it is not.
All right.
Someone telling us that it is moving at 1 inch per year, you take with a pinch of salt. But when this laser reflector array is going to give you information, that will be absolutely precision.
The BRICS summit, it's the final day of the BRICS summit today. And of course, the Prime Minister his chest was beaming with pride yesterday. It must have been a show-off moment for him in front of the other world leaders. Diplomatic statement that he must have made yesterday. Called up S. Somnath as well. But at the same time, there is a war, isn't it? I mean, there is a brinkmanship that is going on between China. I was reading some, tabloid headlines earlier in the day that said that there is an unspoken war on moon between China and India. They won't talk about it. Nobody's going to talk about it, but that is actually happening. Do you think this brinkmanship is helping us encourage, our acceleration in terms of space and research on the moon? Or is it going to, in the longer run, become a hindrance? Because the idea is, collective. Yesterday, the Prime Minister said this is not India's win alone, it's everybody's win, isn't it? So, what's your opinion on that, Sujay? And then I'll take the same question, and very briefly, because we're running out of time here.
Right. So, as you rightly said, any space activity is a global effort, as well as especially exploring a celestial body. If you have noticed, NASA and other European agency as well have given a lot of support, like in terms of the ground stations. Like if the Chandrayaan was communicating with the Deep Space Network, which was owned by NASA. And it is what relaying the information back when our ground station cannot really reach the signals on the moon. Now, apart from this, when you ask what is it with China and India, I mean, in one way, I think a Cold War between two countries is generally good, because look where it got us. Like it got us to this, it got us to space, it got us to the moon landing of humans. And if more technological advancements happen on or during these times where you want to prove that you are a superior power, which will pump in a lot of money into research and development, which in turn will make the common man's life easier and better, and you get more and more technologies which are required. I think as long as it's a healthy, Cold War between us, it is always good. But we should also consider it as a global success, because space is no one country's, and it should be always open and accessible for everyone. And I think India is going in that right direction, where you are working with a lot of different countries, a lot of different space agencies, and helping them also handhold to reach to space. So I think we are all going in the right direction, and a healthy war is always good.
All right, a healthy war. I mean, no harm in some healthy competition. Your viewpoint on the same, Group Captain Jha?
Kabir, I have been, a service personnel. I have had the service background. I am also, a defense expert, having about 30 years of experience of the defense matters, and
Absolutely.
also exclusively about 10 years experience as a scientist, pure design scientist. So I'll give you perspective on this. Look, you can't trust China. What it does and what it says are entirely two different things. So, and that is relevant in all spectrum, whether it is defense, whether it is science, whether it is territorial expansionism, or whatever it is there.
Or
You don't
economics,
trust
economics
China.
for that matter.
Or economics. So you don't trust China. As far as this particular achievement of yesterday is concerned, China has got no other way but to give a wry smile. So that is what it has given. And we understand that the China is doing something very, very unique in the entire universe I can think of. It has created its own, international, not space station, not international, Chinese space station. And that Chinese space station is capable, it has got a robotic, huge, a giant robotic arm. What is that robotic arm for? It can trap a satellite and bring it there. It
Right.
can pick up very heavy, loads of the nuclear arsenals into the cavity or into the space of the station. All these things are there. So what it intends to do in the subsequent years, we don't know. What is in its minds, we don't know. But let us take it that way. Cold War was also on the similar platform.
Right, absolutely.
India is not on the Cold. We have had Galwan.
What is important to
they are
note here,
somewhere-
sir, Group Captain Jha, what is more important to note here is that India always capitalizes on these kind of situations. Last time when the Cold War was actually on, Vikram Sarabhai got funding from the United States and the USSR to launch that sounding rocket. I mean, what beautiful, what more do you need in terms of, beautifying this particular story? That even in a Cold War situation, well, it seems like India capitalizes and India is taking the right kind of steps. We're going to do this every day, Group Captain Jha. We're going to probe, even as Pragyan probes on the other hand on the lunar soil, we're going to continue to do this for the next 14 days. Sujay, do feel free to join in every day for this little update that we're going to do on Chandrayaan. Many thanks, gentlemen. Group Captain Jha, Sujay, for your insightful inputs. Always a pleasure to be speaking to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, day one, but it's not yet over. The potential is immense. It might just happen that after the cycle gets over, the second lunar day, our machines and our probes on the lunar soil will continue to work. Needless to say, India has certainly walked on the moon now. Our rover is out. It's going to continue on with its experimentation. 3 packages on the Vikram lander, 2 on the rover. Lot of scientific acumen that ISRO is going to collect. And let's not forget, it's not India's victory, it's the entire world's. Well, all right. With that, it's a wrap on this show. This is Kabir Naqvi signing off. Many thanks for joining us on this particular show. On the other side of the break, well, what is India's mission UNSC, United Nations Security Council? Can India really envisage in the near future a seat in the UNSC? Well, that documentary right on the other side. Stay tuned. Keep watching News9 Live.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it.
It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now.
Support new permanent seats for Brazil, Germany, India and Japan.
France thus supports the candidacies of Germany, Brazil, India and Japan.
The United Arab Emirates reiterates its endorsement of India's bid for permanent membership.
India can become a permanent member of the Security Council.
We note India and Brazil in particular as key international actors and worthy candidates for permanent membership within the Council.
Getting a seat at the United Nations Security Council is like getting entry into the most exclusive geopolitical club of the world. But the biggest problem that this mid-20th century club faces is that the music being played is out of sync from the realities of 21st century world. The composition of the council in 2023 does look a lot like 1945, and India's bid to enter this VIP club is facing bottlenecks.
Please remember that India's permanent membership of an expanded, reformed United Nations Security Council is not an India-specific issue. There are many other countries there. You know, we have a G4, there's Germany, there's Japan, I think there's Brazil and India. And so we are also trying to say regional representation. So it's not India-specific. What does the preamble to the Charter state? We, the people of the United Nations. Happy birthday. You keep out 1/6 of humanity and you say, we, the people of the United Nations.
Our bid for UN Security Council membership predates that of the present government, but the present government is much better positioned today than in the past to push for it. So we have sufficient support in terms of number of countries to take the plunge, because if you have 80 of 90 committed in a way, because of joint statement supporters, plus the fact that India has now taken the leadership of the global south, especially during the pandemic. So in that sense, we are building up a strategy of wider support which can become 2/3 in case it goes to vote.
The United Nations Security Council comprises 15 members, and out of this, 10 are temporary. And the 5 permanent members are the United States, United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China. And here's the rules of the game, which are that all permanent members have to be on the same page for ratifying a decision or pass